Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to cover Tever the Sphinx. He is a 5-star Shimmer unit, so he's going to be the first of the 4 espers that will be newly added into the game in the coming patch. And we are going to take a look at his kit right here to see whether is he worth pulling or not. So he is a DPS esper that relies a little bit on landing debuffs, which is a very interesting mechanic given that most DPS relies on debuffs and not actually deploy it themselves. So let's take a look at his kit. The first skill, Uncovered Truth, deals damage to an enemy and inflicts 1 stack of the Nico Curse state. So the Nico Curse state, this state is cleared when its bearer dies. The bearer's death triggers damage based on Tever's attack to all the bearer's allies. The damage factor increases per stack. So there are a few things to take note of, right? So the first thing is, it is not known if there is a cap to the number of stacks that you can have on any bearer. And it is not known if you can proc this without accuracy, just like a Nessidora. So a Nessidora's Pandora box don't actually require accuracy to land fully. And thirdly, how does this affect Cecilia? So I noticed that the devs are going to patch Cecilia again, but will this take into consideration that if you kill Cecilia, will she then kill the rest of her allies? So what will happen to the dead allies and what will happen to the living allies? I do not know. But what I do know is if there is no limit to the number of stacks, he could be potentially very powerful in the Temporal Tower, because you can imagine just taking out one of the followers and then boom, there is suddenly so much damage to the boss. And also if he requires accuracy to land his debuff, then he would have to forego some attack stat, which may or may not be a problem because he seems like a character that do not need critical damage. He's very similar to Jiangman based on what I'm seeing over here. And of course, I'm very curious to see how this affects Cecilia, so we will see about that. Next, we have his second skill, which is his passive Nico Analysis. After each attack, if the target's HP is higher than a certain percentage, Tever will repeat the same attack using the same ability on the target. If not, Tever will acquire 1 stack of Nico Sense. This ability can only be triggered once per turn, and what Nico Sense does is when stacked to the max, I'm not sure how many stacks that is, resets the cooldowns on all of Tever's abilities, triggers a repeat attack during Tever's next turn, and then clears this state. And on the phase 3 ascension, every stack also reduces damage taken. Whoa. So this is just my preliminary assessment of him, but I think he is very similar to Jiangman in a sense that he can just be built with high attack and the rest of his stats can go to accuracy and HP and just a little bit more survivability. So he's kind of like a secondary DPS. But in order to explore more of his passive, we need to take a look at his third skill, and it is none other than Nico Gift Box. And I'm wondering, why is this skill so short? So deals damage to an enemy and inflicts sear for 2 turns. So this skill is actually what confuses me a little bit about his kit. So his first 2 skills revolve around stacking debuffs. So like when the more stacks the enemy has, the more damage his allies will take. And also the more stacks that Tever has, the more likely he is able to land a double hit. So his kit is all about repeating his attacks, right? But then why does his third skill use Sear? Sear is a debuff that amplifies the damage that the enemy receives, but it does not stack. So then what's the point of landing 2 of your third skills in quick succession? And of course this needs to be tested, but I do not think that the Nico Curse will be amplified in DPS this way, cause from my understanding, Sear only amplifies the incoming damage that you receive. So the thing I'm wondering is, does this mean that the developers have in mind that he can be built in 2 different ways? One as a debuff damage dealer, and the other as a traditional nuker, because if he lands his third skill and he lands a Sear, he can potentially follow up with a very devastating attack. But then again, we will need to take a look at his multipliers, and if it's not anywhere close to 300%, then probably he's only meant as a debuff damage dealer. But because of the skill sets that he has, I have a very strong hunch that this coming update is going to focus more on enabling debuffers. So espers like Jiangman is going to be significantly improved, and Kara as well, the really strong poison debuffer, as well as Biondina where she strips a lot of buffs. I'm very certain there's going to be a connection over here, and I am pretty sure that that's the direction that the developers are going with the release of some of the newer units. And of course there's a lot of speculation on what the other units are capable of, and I've heard that maybe Sienna is going to be the goddess of poison, but who knows, right? So speculations out of the way, I think this new character is quite interesting. I don't necessarily think that he's going to be quite breaking at all. I mean, his kit looks really fun and really strong, which is nice. So he's going to be an exceptional toy if you ever do pull him, right? If you ever do luck out on the 1 out of 1,500 chance of getting him. But that's all I have to say about this character at this point in time. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you find that you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. It's free and you can always change your mind. And this has been free to play, by the way, and as always, I will see you in the next video.